Okay, so I've gone ahead and set this page up for you. I've set all of these up with dummy text. I've just put Lorem Ipsum in there. So that all you have to do when you come to your introduction page is choose Edit HTML, go in and change the introduction. So something that you would think of that frames the content for your students and walks them into that content. So that's what I would suggest for your introduction. I've gone ahead and put an objectives template in here, and I've given you the standard verbiage that we use. I mean, you're welcome to modify it. I would just say replace A, B, C, and X, Y, Z. But think about it in terms of skills. What do you want them to do because you've taught them those skills or they've practiced those skills? So things like draw a wall, have accurate dimensions, things like that. And I'll send you a list of verbs that'll help you write really solid objectives. The verbs as a general rule that we want to avoid are understand. You can't measure it. You got to be more specific. And learn. How do you measure? So I would say avoid those two. You should be in good shape. And that's one of those things that prior to your course coming through the review process, I'll go through all of them. And if they're not the most awesome objective words, I'll be like, hey, why don't you think about this objective word? So we'll walk through that together. The bulk of the actual instruction you're going to have on your content page. So if you do those screencast videos, if you want that to be your instructional delivery, then you would just embed your video here. I would say this too. Think about if you use an exterior video, something like you found on a blog or something else you found on YouTube, give a little bit of text before you embed that video to frame it for your students. So you wouldn't just walk into class, not say anything, and throw YouTube up. You frame that concept for your students. And the same thing, you usually wrap it up for them and say, okay, in this video, did you notice we've learned about X, Y, and Z, and I want you to think about what they said here when you go and you do this skill. So sometimes you even have to wrap it up for them. I wouldn't put it all on one page. I would probably chunk it apart. And as you're making your videos, think about what your threshold is when someone sends you a YouTube video. How long are you willing to watch? My threshold is about 7 minutes. Well, how long's yours?
If I'm watching someone do something, it's usually around the 5 to 6 and if I'm getting up and I want to hear, I'm doing this. See, notice that. I don't want to hear much talking. Yeah?
Yeah.
And be like, and notice that when I clicked on that, the whole like ribbon changes. And when you hover, when you click one, the ribbon changes. Now, look at all these things. Look at all those things.
So yeah, so think about that with your videos. You don't want sometimes you can't get away from a 30-minute video.
Right.
But try and chunk it into small pieces because the likelihood of them watching 30 minutes is exactly what the research and your common sense tells us that they're not going to do that much.
Yeah, so like, I don't think about, right, and think about the way they're going to use your videos like a tutorial. And imagine that they'll have left and be on their own computer working.
Okay, so the next thing I would say is that after you've delivered your instruction, there's pedagogical value in a conclusion/summary. Just go back and summarize for them what you walked them through in your instruction. So that's usually paragraph, 2 paragraphs, nothing big. And then some form of assessment. And that's not to say maybe every module doesn't have an assessment for you guys. I don't know. Based on looking at your calendar right there, it doesn't look like every module has an assessment. It looks more like you assess on a project base so that you're skill building and then they have some sort of deliverable. Yeah. So if you don't have an assessment in every module, that's okay. But you need to have assessments. I mean, obviously, you've got to be able to evaluate their knowledge.
Because they have to gain numerous skills before they can complete a real thing.
Anything of value, right.
The transverse to that, and I think probably how similar to any of our classes is why we have lots of little 10-point things in our comparative classes, because you want to give them the opportunity to still pass if they're struggling, to have still garnered enough point to make it through the end.